What is the most important position in the game of hockey? Now, obviously, we know hockey has 5 different positions. We have center, left wing, right wing, defense, and of course, goaltenders. And we are going to go ahead and see which position is most valuable to a team, as I've created 5 different teams that have players, the best players at each position on that team. And we are just basically going to go ahead and simulate to see which positions dominate in NHL 24. So we have the team full of centers, a team full of left wingers, right wingers, defense, and then goaltenders. I'm gonna be real, the team of goalies is probably not gonna win a game. So let's go ahead, take a look at every single roster of all the position teams here in NHL 24. So first off, we have the team full of centermen, and it's captained by none other than the best player in the world today, which is Connor McDavid. Now, of course, this team is gonna be absolutely loaded. They might honestly have the best roster in the entire league. They have guys like Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Nathan MacKinnon, Paige Thompson's here, Elias Pettersson, Jack Hughes, Jack Eichel, Evgeny Malkin, Sidney Crosby is there, Rope Hintz, William Karlsson might be the weak link in the forecourt. Now, defensively, we have guys like Alexander Barkov, Braden Point, Elias Lindholm, Sebastian Aho, Mika Zibanejad, and JT Miller. And for some reason, Austin Matthews is in fact scratched. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm not going to mess with the rosters too much. I'm going to let the computers decide what they want to do here. And if they say he's scratched, he must be scratched for a reason. Now, for the defense, Cale Makar is going to be the captain of the team. Now, they are actually going to be rocking Cale Makar down the middle at center. Roman Josi is going to play the wing, as well as Rasmus Dahlin. They also have guys like Miro Heiskanen, Adam Fox, Quinn Hughes is there, Devon Taves, Erik Karlsson playing the center position. Defensively, they're going to have guys like Victor Hedman, Charlie McAvoy, Slavin is there, Pietrangelo, Adam Pelech, and Mikhail Sergachev. And if I didn't mention already, every single team is going to have the same exact goaltenders besides the goalie team. So everybody's starter is going to be Brian Elliott, and everybody's backup is going to be Yaroslav Halak, 81 and 80 overall, so it's all fair game. Now, the captain of the left wingers is going to be the greatest goal scorer of all time in Alexander Ovechkin. I know, he's having a very rough season in real life, but do not forget what this man has done in his career. And they're going to have guys like Panarin, Verhaeghe, Kirill Kaprizov is there. He's a 92. Jason Robertson is a 92 as well. Jake Gensel, Landeskog, Tkachuk, Jamie Benn. Defensively, they're going to have Brad Marchand, Matthew Tkachuk, Kyle Connor. Ovi is going to be playing defense. What are they doing? And of course, Zach Hyman. And in goal, Brian Elliott is the starter, and the backup is Yaroslav Halak. Now, the right wingers, their captain is going to be none other than Nikita Kucherov. He's currently leading the scoring race in the NHL right now, and he's probably the best player, the best right winger. And they're going to have guys like William Nylander, Mikko Rantanen, Joe Pavelski, David Pastrnak is there. He's probably the second best right winger. Clayton Keller, Patrick Laine, Travis Konecny is there. Defensively, they do have Mark Stone and Jordan Kyrou. Timo Meier, Alex DeBrincat is going to be playing D at 5'8". And finally, for the goalies, obviously no goaltender can be a captain in NHL 24. It's literally not possible. But their starting goalie is, of course, going to be Andrei Vasilevsky, as he is the best goaltender in the game. And their backup will be Igor Shesterkin at a 92 overall. For the players on this team, I just threw a bunch of low 70 overall players on the roster. And we're going to see if goaltenders can really carry a team to a Stanley Cup or maybe even a playoff win. In reality, I don't think this team will ever make the playoffs. There might be the worst team in the entire league. Now that we know every single roster in the NHL, let's go ahead and simulate to see who takes home the Stanley Cup. But before we do that, if you guys do enjoy videos like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a single live stream or video that I put out. And now let's head into the simulation. So at the end of year number 1, the Red Deer Right Wings are going to be the best team in the NHL as they go 57, 20, and 5, followed by the California Centers, the Lake Erie Left Wingers, and the Denver Defense, as the goalies are going to end up missing the playoffs. They did win 22 games, though, which I'm honestly surprised by. Of course, we had to put in the HC Davos in here, absolute legends, but they're not going to win a lot of games. They're just here to fill out the league, as we cannot have less than 6 teams in the NHL. Great job, EA. Great job. Kucherov's going to end up leading the entire NHL in scoring with 116 points, followed by passes, 113. Nylander had 113. Rantanen was up there. Jack Hughes had 102, the most by a centerman. Matthew Tkachuk had 102. Breadman, 100. Jason Robertson was up there now for the goal side. Passes is going to lead with 58, followed by Kucherov's 56. Jason Robertson at 43. Damn, that is a big fall off. So maybe the greatest goal scorers in the game right now are right wingers. They had a very big lead on basically everybody else in the NHL. McDavid was up there with 38, Rantanen had 35, Jack Hughes 34 for defensemen. Let's take a look at this. Cale Makar is going to lead with 72 points, followed by Quinn Hughes at 63, Adam Fox had 61, Erik Karlsson was up there, Hedman had 53. Now for goalies, Brian Elliott, of course, yeah, Brian Elliott is probably going to lead. I want to take a look though. Vasi went 17, 41, and 5, no shutouts and not really good stats at all. 3.5 goals per game is kind of rough. Now let's take a look at shutouts. Brian Elliott is going to lead with 8, followed by Brian Elliott, Brian Elliott, Brian Elliott. And in the playoffs, we have the Red Deer right wingers versus the Denver defense and the California centermen versus the Lake Erie left wingers. Let's go ahead and see who makes this Stanley Cup Finals. And in the Stanley Cup Finals, we have the Red Deer right wingers versus the California centermen. I'm honestly not too surprised by that. I thought the centermen were going to be the best team in the NHL. That's why I chose to control them, even though I'm not technically controlling them. You get the point. Regardless, they're up against the right wingers. Let's see who goes on and wins the Stanley Cup at the end of season number 1. And I'm actually very shocked by this, as the right wingers are going to go on and dominate. And when I say dominate, I mean absolutely destroy the centermen in 5 games. And all the games that they did win were not even relatively close. It was by far a clear difference in who was the better team here in the Stanley Cup Finals. I thought the centermen were due, man. I thought they were going all the way, winning the Stanley Cup, because they do have the best players in the world. Joe Pavelski is going to end up taking home the Conn Smythe, 8 goals and 15 points for the old man. I mean, that old man is still producing at a high level. And the Stanley Cup is going to be raised here in Red Deer, I believe. The Red Deer right wingers, yes. Thank you, EA, for showing that on the boards. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have remembered. As here comes their captain, Nikita Kucherov, looking to lift the Stanley Cup again, but also win another Art Ross trophy. He already has one, but he's leading the race currently in real life, and there he is, lifting the Stanley Cup for the Red Deer right wingers as they are Stanley Cup champions in year number 1. Now for the playoffs, Connor McDavid is going to lead everybody in scoring with 17 points, followed by Joe Pavelski, 15, also 8 goals. David Pastrnak had 15, Nylander 15, Clayton Keller had 15, Draisaitl 12, Rantanen was up there as well. Nylander is going to end up taking home the Ted Lindsay and the Hart Trophy, while the Art Ross will go to Kucherov and Maurice Richard to David Pastrnak, the Norris to Cale Makar, of course. Pavelski will win the Conn Smythe, the Vezina is going to go to Brian Elliott, and the Selke will go to Connor McDavid. As we wrap up a very interesting year number 1 here in NHL 24. I honestly expected the centermen to cruise to victory, but the Red Deer right wingers are going to upset them. So let's go on and simulate to season number 2. Now, at the end of season number 2, the California Senators are going to be the best team in the NHL as they go 54, 15, and 13. Jesus, that is a lot of overtime losses. Regardless, they had 121 points, followed by the right wingers, the left wingers, and then the defense, and of course the goaltenders. I mean, they won 31 games, which is an improvement off of last season. Only 4 less than the defense did. So maybe we can see them sneak into the playoffs in one of these seasons. But yet again, they are going to miss the playoffs. We're pretty much going to have the same matchups, but maybe different teams playing each other. Nikita Kucherov is going to lead everybody in goals with 50 and points with 122, followed by McDavid's 117. Nylander had 108, Rantanen 102, Tkachuk had 99, Draisaitl 99, Pavelski was up there. 39 years old, still putting up monster numbers. Now for the goal side, other than Kucherov, Pasta will have the most at 47, Tkachuk had 45, McDavid 44, Rantanen had 40, Kaprizov was up there, Roman Josi had 31 as a defenseman. That's kind of wild. Speaking of defensemen, Adam Fox is going to lead, and oh my god, the highest is going to be 64 points? No other defenseman is going to score more than that. Roman Josi had 60. He also had 31 goals. He's definitely going to win that Norris. Cale Makar only had 10 goals and 57 points. Victor Hedman was up there, I guess. Karlsson didn't have a great season. For goaltenders, Vasi is going to go 20, 33, and 6, 2 shutouts, and I guess better stats than last season, still almost averaging 3.5 goals per game. And in the playoffs, we have the centermen up against the defensemen, the right wingers versus the left wingers. These should be very good series. Let's see who goes on and makes the Stanley Cup Finals here in year number 2. And we are going to have a rematch of last season's Stanley Cup Finals as we have the centermen up against the right wingers yet again. But this time, who is going to go home with the Stanley Cup? And the centermen are going to get the revenge over last season as they dominate the Red Deer right wingers in 4 games in the Stanley Cup Finals as they sweep them. I mean, I guess they took that personally last year as they would absolutely blow their back out in the Stanley Cup Finals. But it was not even really that close. I mean, this game was a little bit closer. It was a 1-goal game to close out, but 4-game sweeps are never close. Don't let anybody tell you that a close sweep is a thing, because it's definitely not. As your mom's a hoe, Sebastian Aho is going to take home the Conn Smythe, 2 goals and 9 points for the kid. I guess his mom was not a hoe in this postseason. And the Stanley Cup will be presented yet again in Red Deer. I mean, the California Centermen are on the road here, but of course I only created one jersey for every single team. And here comes the captain, Connor McDavid, finally coming to lift the Stanley Cup for the very first time in his career, as the team of all centermen has tied up the series at 1 apiece and have gone on and won the Stanley Cup here in year number 2. I just low-key realized a lot of these videos are just straight up yap sessions from me. I just go on rants every time I'm recording, and I absolutely love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Let's see, in the playoffs, yet again, Joe Pavelski is going to have a great playoff run. He had 4 goals and 15 points, leading all skaters in that category. Kucherov had 12, David Pastrnak had 10, Rantanen 10, McKinnon 10, Clayton Keller had 10. Your mom's a hoe only had 9 points, but somehow still ended up winning that Conn Smythe. I don't really understand that, honestly. David is going to take home the Ted Lindsay and the Hart Trophy, while the Art Ross and Maurice Richard are going to go to Nikita Kucherov, the Norris to Adam Fox, the Conn Smythe, of course, to your mom's a hoe, the Vezina to Brian Elliott yet again, and the Selke will head to Connor McDavid once again. So things are getting very interesting here, as we had the same Stanley Cup final matchup for 2 years in a row, and it's now tied 1-1. Obviously, the right wingers won last season and the centerman this season, so low-key, we might have a heated rivalry on our hands here. Now, at the end of season number 3, yet again, the California Centers are going to be the best team in the NHL, as they go 56, 23, and 3, good enough for 115 points. The right wingers would follow with 53 wins. The left wingers are up there, and as well as the defense. And yet again, the Greenville goalies are going to miss the playoffs. Again, winning 31 games. So maybe they have reached their peak here in the league. I mean, compared to the rest of the rosters, they only have 2 very good players on their team, when these teams have multiple, like 90 plus overall players. And the goalies in this game really do suck compared to real life. Mikko Rantanen is going to lead all skaters in points with 106, followed by Nikita Kucherov's 105. McDavid had 102. Breadman was up there at 102. He's actually been low-key producing this season. He's like 3rd or 4th in the scoring race. Hasta had 99. Kaprizov was up there. Joe Pavelski had a 95-point season. Draisaitl had 94. Nylander hasn't scored a goal or a point, I believe, since he signed his big boy contract. Now for goals, Connor McDavid is going to lead all skaters with 51, followed by passes 47. Kucherov had 46. Rantanen had 41. Ovi, of course, was up there with 35. McKinnon 32. Now for defensemen, Adam Fox is going to lead with 62. Actually, him and Makar are going to each tie at 62. So it looks like defensemen are not producing at the same clip as they were in year number 1. Victor Hedman had 61. Carlson 53. Roman Josi 48, and not 30 goals. He only had 14 this season. Brian Elliott, of course, going to lead in wins. He had 48. Jesus Christ. But Vasi 23, 34, and 4. 5 shutouts and much better stats. I mean, still 3 goals against per game, but he did have 5 shutouts on the season, so you can't really dock him for that. Brian Elliott is going to lead, though, with 7 in the entire NHL. And in the playoffs, we have the centermen up against the defensemen yet again, as well as the right wingers versus left wingers. Oh, I'm not talking about political parties, but instead about the great game of hockey. Let's see who makes the Stanley Cup Finals. And yet again, the centermen are going to make the Stanley Cup Finals. This time, for the first time, they're up against the left wingers instead of the right wingers, so instead of Joe Biden, it's going to be Donald Trump. I don't even know. I couldn't tell you politics, honestly. Regardless, let's see who goes on and wins the Stanley Cup here in year number 3. And yet again, for a second year in a row, the centermen are not going to lose a single game in the Stanley Cup Finals, as they absolutely dominate the left wingers in 4 games, a clean sweep. And now in back-to-back finals, they are undefeated, proving why they are the best team in the NHL, maybe, and maybe the best position in all of hockey. I mean, who could have predicted this, honestly? I don't know. Maybe a guy named Pasta predicted this at the beginning of the video. They are going to dominate their way to their 2nd straight Stanley Cup and their 3rd straight Stanley Cup final, so they are putting in work. Leon Draisaitl is going to be the Conn Smythe winner, 5 goals and 15 points. The absolute beauty that he is, the German Gretzky. They call him that for a reason. Let me know in the comments what you guys think is the most important position in hockey. I don't know. Personally, for me, I think it is the centerman. They pretty much do everything on the ice. Goaltender is important as well, but here comes McDavid coming to lift the cup for a 2nd straight season, as the centermen have gone back-to-back here in NHL 24. I mean, technically, when you think about it, defensemen do play more in a game than any forward does. So maybe they're the most important players on the ice. They're playing like 30, maybe even 40 minutes. I mean, 40 minutes is kind of pushing it, but that's maybe if you have overtime in there. Draisaitl is going to lead the entire playoffs in scoring with 15 points, followed by Jack Hughes at 14. McDavid had 13. Verhaeghe, 12. Landy had 12. Jason Robertson was up there. McKinnon, Pedersen. Connor McDavid is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, Maurice Richard, and the Hart Trophy, while the Art Ross will go to Mikko Rantanen. The Norris to Erik Karlsson. That's a big surprise, honestly. Conn Smythe, of course, the Draisaitl, the Vezina to Brian Elliott yet again, and the Selke will go to McDavid for 3 years in a row. Now, at the end of season number 4, the Red Deer right wingers are going to win almost damn near 60 games as they go 59, 16, and 7. Good enough for 125 points and first in the entire NHL. The left wingers will come in second place with 54 wins. Centermen were up there with 54, as well as the defense, as the Greenville goalies yet again has missed the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, boys. They've won 29 games. Their most was 31 in a single season. Although California, they're usually in first place, now in third this season, so they're going to have to face the left wingers in round number 1. Nikita Kucherov yet again is going to lead all skaters in goals with 55 and points with 123, followed by Nylander, who had 122. That's a monster season by him. He's definitely going to be getting that bag. Oh wait, he already got that bag. Toronto fans, how do you feel about Nylander making that much money? Is he worth it? Is he not worth it? Let me know in the comments below. Redman had 114. Rantanen was up there. Kaprizov passed up. Joe Pavelski had a 100-point season. McDavid only hit 95, which is surprisingly low for him on the goal side. Other than Kucherov, Redman's going to have the most at 47. McDavid had 46. Rantanen 43. Nylander was up there with 41. Pasta now on D. Let's see who led defenseman. Cale Makar, only 66 points though. Adam Fox had 64 and 24 goals. When Hughes 56. Carlson 52. McAvoy 47 for goalies. Vassey's going to go 26, 33, and 4. 3 shutouts and not really the greatest stats, but I mean, it's decent. It's better than prior seasons. And in the playoffs, we have the Red Deer right wingers up against the Denver defense, and then the left wingers against the centermen. Let's see who goes on, advances past round number 1, and makes the Stanley Cup Finals. And yet again, for a third time in the video, we have the right wingers up against the centermen in the Stanley Cup Finals. Obviously, it's all tied up at 1 apiece, but the centermen do have 2 Stanley Cups to the Red Deer's 1. So can Red Deer take the lead in the series and tie the centermen in Stanley Cups, or will California continue to dominate here in the simulation? And yet again, the team full of centermen are going to absolutely stomp, roll over, and take a huge ass dump on the right wingers in the Stanley Cup Finals. Maybe they might even take a bite of it too. I don't even know what I'm saying, but regardless, they will go on and win their 3rd Stanley Cup in the video, as they are yet again Stanley Cup champions. That's 2 in a row or 3 in a row? No, wait, I don't even know. Regardless, they have 3 out of the 4 seasons so far. Jack Hughes is going to win the Conn Smythe for them. 4 goals and 15 points by the kid. I mean, it looks like he still can't even grow facial hair. He's only 22 years old, 21 years old, Jack Hughes. Still a very young guy in the NHL, but a proven player as well. He's an elite talent. And the Stanley Cup yet again got to be raised on away ice, as we did not have home ice advantage in the Stanley Cup Finals. So if we did, we would have raised it on home ice, which California has yet to do, as McDavid, here he comes to lift another Stanley Cup, the 3rd of his career, as he has cemented himself as maybe the best player ever. Regardless, the centermen are going to go on and win another Stanley Cup here in year number 4. Jack Hughes is going to lead everybody in points for the playoffs with 15, followed by Jack Eichel's 14. Draisaitl had 14. Rantanen was up there. McDavid had 13. Tkachuk 13. So the centermen were all over the place in the playoffs, just like your mother on a Saturday night. Okay, that was a little uncalled for. I apologize. I really do. Nikita Kucherov is going to take on the Ted Lindsay, Maurice Richard, Art Ross, and Hart Trophy. The Norris is going to go to Cale Makar. The Conn Smythe, of course, to Jack Hughes. The Vezina again to Brian Elliott, and the Selke will go to Connor McDavid for 4 straight years in a row. So here at the final season in the video, the right wingers are going to be the best team as they go 58, 16, and 8. Good enough for 124 points. Followed by the centermen, the left wingers, and the defense. Again, the goalies are not very good, and that's pretty much to be expected. I thought that coming into this, and I was proven right. So shout out to all the goalies watching this video. I'm sorry I could not make them any better in this game. This is just what it is. It is what it is. Like Max Blessed Holloway says, yet again, Kucherov's going to lead all skaters in goals with 51 and points with 124. He's dominating the simulation right now. McDavid had 118. Rantanen was up there. Nylander had 115. Draisaitl 103. Past the 98 now on the goal side. McDavid at 45. Past the 45. DeBrincat at 41. He's finally producing in the video. He was playing defense, so I guess that's why he was not up here that often. Robertson at 39. Ovi 39. Now, speaking speaking of defensemen, Cale Makar is going to lead, only 8 goals, but 79 points. Quinn Hughes had 66, Hedman had 57. He was a -8 though. Roman Josi 52. Bassey's going to have a bad season, 19, 35, and 5. No shutouts and pretty terrible stats, honestly. As Brian Elliott, and Brian Elliott are going to dominate. And in the playoffs, we have the right wingers up against the defensemen, the centermen up against the left wingers yet again. Let's see who goes on and makes that Stanley Cup final for the final season in the video. And in the Stanley Cup finals, we have a fresh matchup between the defensemen and the centermen. I don't believe they met in the finals. Maybe they did one season, but I don't remember. I thought it was either the left or right wingers that the centermen always played in the finals, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's see who's going to go on and take home that Stanley Cup at the end of the 5th and final season. Also, I am so glad that I chose the centermen to be the team that I control here in NHL 24, as it makes it much easier to hop in and see the Stanley Cup presentation year after year. And the Big D was not big enough to defeat the Big C as the centermen go on and win their 4th Stanley Cup of the video. So they pretty much dominated. They won 4 out of the 5 seasons, and it was the closest series in the final so far. The defensemen actually took a 2-0 series lead, but somehow they would lose 4 straight, and they're going to lose that Stanley Cup. Elias Pettersson is going to take home the Conn Smythe. Only 2 goals, but 13 points. I mean, I'm surprised McDavid did not take home a Conn Smythe yet. Also, the defenseman jerseys. I wanted to say this before I absolutely stuttered. They are beautiful. I love them. I think they're probably the best in the entire NHL in this league that I created here. You let me know in the comments if they're good or not. I think they're beautiful, but it is what it is, I guess. As here comes McDavid coming to lift the Stanley Cup for the 4th time in the video, as the centermen have absolutely dominated, and they have proven that they are the most important position in the game of hockey. Nikita Kucherov is yet again going to take home all the major individual awards. The Norris is going to go to Cale Makar, the Conn Smythe, of course, to Pettersson, the Vezina to Brian Elliott, and the Selke will go to Connor McDavid yet again. And that is going to do it for this video. I guess the centermen have proven that they are the most important position in the game of hockey over left wingers, right wingers, defensemen, and goalies. I mean, goalies were absolutely terrible in the simulation, but that was to be expected. Regardless, the centermen would go on and win 4 out of the 5 Stanley Cups in the video. I believe the right wingers are the only other team to win a Stanley Cup, so it was not even that close. They were by far the best team in the entire league. I would like to say thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments below what else you would like to see on this channel, and remember, don't be silly. Wrap your willy.